Many nonprofits start off with just one person with a vision. This person sees a problem in their community, gets frustrated that nobody seems to be fixing it, and decides, fine, I'll do it myself. And if that's you right now, I see you. But here's the hard truth I learned about starting a nonprofit. You can be the most brilliant, capable person on the planet, but you can't grow an organization alone and expect it to be successful. Because when you try to build the infrastructure, run the programs, and raise the money all by yourself, you risk becoming just another statistic. Nonprofit leaders are stretching themselves thin and burning out in record numbers these days because the needs are so big and they're doing too much without enough help. So my job is to show you how to start and grow a nonprofit sustainably, not in a way that's going to leave you exhausted and discouraged. And to do that, you need a super startup team. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what a superstar startup team looks like, how to figure out who you actually need, and the specific roles that you should be recruiting for right now in your early stages. And if you want my whole checklist for starting a nonprofit, drop a comment below with the word checklist, and I'll send you a link to download that free checklist. Let's start with this. What does an amazing startup team actually look like? It can be tempting to just grab your 3 best friends and say, hey, want to be on my board? Believe me, I've been there. But your nonprofit startup team's composition needs to be strategic. Here's one way to think about it. You want the right people in place who can help your organization master 3 critical areas in about the first 1 or 2 years. The first is folks who can help you get your first supporters. You need people on your team who can help you build your initial base of supporters for your organization, which means your first funders or donors, volunteers, and community partners. So that means you need people on your team who are comfortable speaking in public, doing outreach, making connections, and building relationships and trust. These are your folks who maybe love networking events, speaking at community gatherings, and who are great community connectors. Now, asking for money might feel intimidating if you haven't fundraised before, but that's not the focus here just yet. The focus here is to raise awareness and starting to get people curious and interested enough so that they might donate or volunteer after getting to know your cause a little bit better. The second thing you need to master is establishing strong systems. So you need people who can help you establish the foundational infrastructure for the organization so it is legally and operationally sound. This means making sure your administrative and operations parts are running smoothly in the background and includes everything from making sure your organization is staying in legal compliance, and has the right insurance, clear bylaws, tight financial policies. That means you'll want people on your team who are great at that behind the scenes stuff, project management, planning, strategy, creating systems for good record keeping, etc. Third, you want systems to help you launch quality services. When you're first starting out, you may have ideas for programs or services that you want to offer, but in reality, it will most likely take some experimenting to see if the programs are effective and providing the quality services to those that you want to help. That means you need people who can help you pilot test your programs, actually serve the community, collect feedback, and refine the work until it is highly effective. So people with backgrounds in program design, strategy again, or community work could be helpful here. Now, it's incredibly tempting to say, I'll just try to do all 3 of these things by myself. But aside from the burnout risk, you literally can't. To get your tax-exempt status as a charitable organization in the United States, the IRS expects you to have a minimum of 3 total board members to file your paperwork. Now, you can be one of them, but you need at least 2 others who ideally aren't related to you. So where do you even begin trying to form this rockstar team? If you're the founder, it starts with looking in the mirror and assessing your own skills. Here's exactly what I want you to do. Look at those 3 areas that we talked about: supporters, systems, and services, and write down where your strongest natural skill sets are. Are you a great networker? Are you a natural relationship builder or public speaker? If so, your strengths lie in the supporters realm. You need to be out there establishing connections and building trust. Are you great at stuff in the background? Do you love administrative work, operations, accounting, or project management? Then maybe you shine in the systems realm. Or maybe you're great at listening to people in your community, understanding their problems and pain points, and coming up with direct solutions. Then the services category could be your strength. Once you know where you shine, you immediately know what you're missing. What are the areas where you are weakest? Those are the exact skill sets that you need to recruit for other people for your startup team. So you're going to want to create descriptions of the roles you need to recruit for or fill in the skill sets you're missing. Write out the kinds of person you are looking for and the kinds of activities that they could be expected to do. Networking and speaking, helping set up policies or systems, etc. You're going to want these role descriptions handy when you start connecting with people, because once someone gets interested in your cause, they're going to ask, okay, well, how can I help? Where do I fit in here? And sharing these needs will help them see themselves on your team. And by the way, if you want a deeper dive into the exact skills to look for, I did do a whole video on this called Starting a Nonprofit. Your board of directors needs these skills. And I'll link it in the description for you to watch next. Now, I mentioned earlier that you'll legally need at least 3 board members, but that doesn't mean everyone on your startup team has to be an official board member. When you are talking to potential team members, there are different types of roles and commitment levels that might be a good fit for different people. So let's talk through 3 of those role types to consider. The first is your board of directors, but you want to reserve this for a special kind of person. When you're thinking about who might be a good fit for your startup board, reserve this role for people who can make that longer term commitment. Because board terms are often 2 to 3 years, and in the startup phase, you need folks who can devote maybe around 10 to 15 hours per month to getting this thing off the ground. And these people's names are going to show up on your nonprofit's legal paperwork alongside yours. They will have legal and fiduciary responsibility. They vote on major policies. This is the highest level of commitment. So let me give you a real-world example of what this looks like. Imagine that you are starting a nonprofit that provides after-school tutoring for kids in under-resourced communities. A great board member for that organization might be a retired school principal who has deep credibility in the education space, already knows the families and teachers in the neighborhood, and has the time and passion to show up consistently. She's not just lending her name to the cause, she's actively helping you build the organization. She's reviewing your bylaws, connecting you to her network of potential donors and supporters, and co-signing the decisions that shape the organization's future alongside you. That is the level of investment you're looking for in a board member. What you want to avoid is recruiting someone just because they have an impressive title or a big network, but they actually can't show up and do anything. A board member who's absent or disengaged does not just fail to help, they can actually create legal and governance problems for your organization down the road. But since not everyone is the right fit for your board, let's talk about another potential role for some folks. That role is an advisory council member. So if you're not familiar, an advisory council or advisory board is a group of volunteers who offer their insights on usually specific niche areas like legal advice, marketing, or real estate, but they aren't part of your official board and don't have a vote on your board. This commitment is usually much lower, so this could be the perfect role for highly specialized professionals who want to help you but don't have the time to sit on a working board. Here's what this might look like in practice. Let's say you're starting a nonprofit that provides transitional housing for people experiencing homelessness. You connect with a local real estate attorney who is passionate about housing equity. He would love to support your work, but he runs his own firm and has 3 kids. He simply can't commit to that 15 hours or so a month. So maybe he's the perfect advisory council fit. He could help review your lease agreements, answer your legal questions when they come up, and maybe join a call every quarter to weigh in on housing policy questions. You get his expertise exactly when you need it, and he gets to contribute in a way that actually fits his life. So everyone hopefully wins. Also, advisory councils are a fantastic way to build relationships with people who might eventually become major donors or even future board members down the road. Think of it as a lower stakes way to let people fall in love with your mission before asking for a bigger commitment. Then a third role that might be a good fit for some folks is as a program volunteer. These are your hands-on folks. They are the heartbeat of your day-to-day operations. If you're starting a food pantry, these are the people packing the boxes and distributing groceries on Saturday mornings. If you're an animal rescue, these are your foster care families and your transport volunteers driving dogs to their new homes. Now, these volunteers don't want to sit in on governance meetings. They want to do the direct work. So what's important here is that you treat this group with the same intentionality as your board. Give them clear role descriptions, give them training, give them a point of contact. One major reason program volunteers disengage is that they showed up ready to help and had no idea what to do. So you want to make sure that you don't let that happen with these people. And here's something worth noting also. Your program volunteers are often your most powerful ambassadors. They are the ones talking about your work at dinner parties, sharing your social media posts, and bringing their friends and family in to become donors. If you invest in making sure these startup team members have a great experience, they're going to invest back in your mission. So now we've talked about what kinds of roles people might play on your startup team, but I do want to briefly share a few things you need to be cautious about when forming your team, because I see solo founders make these mistakes a lot. Maybe you've found people who you have great complementary skills with, and you get along with them really well. But in team meetings, they never offer any differentiating opinions. They never question any ideas or thoughts that come up, and they generally just nod along to everything going on. You have recruited yes people. And if this sounds like a positive, trust me, it's not. You do not want a board of directors or team that just nods and agrees with everything you say. Research on nonprofit governance shows that this tendency, you might have heard it called groupthink, is one of the most dangerous things that can happen to a board or an organization. It blinds organizations to risks, it prevents creative problem solving, and can even hide underlying issues like financial challenges or staff burnout. What you need is people who will respectfully challenge your ideas and collaborate with you to find the best possible solutions, and to create an environment where disagreement is seen as healthy and sometimes expected and planned for. Now, the second mistake I see founders make is failing to define team roles clearly from the beginning. And the result of this can be confusion, disengagement, or even conflict. When people don't know what's expected of them or who does what, they won't feel like they can follow through. So in your first year, you need those clear role descriptions that we talked about earlier, but you also need to work out a plan with your startup team and identify exactly what duties need to happen every month, and then delegate those duties based on each person's strengths and roles. Now, this is especially critical for anyone joining your board of directors. If someone is joining your board, they should know exactly what's expected of them before they say yes. I've seen firsthand how this mitigates major problems down the road. Now, if fundraising is an activity that you'll want your board of directors, volunteers, and staff to support you with, you'll want to make sure that they have the right technology to make it easy. So before I share our last step for forming your startup team, it's the perfect time to thank the sponsor of this video, Click and Pledge. Click and Pledge makes it easy for nonprofits to start their fundraising strong and scale it with confidence, and empower their boards and volunteers to help raise money for your cause too. With Click and Pledge, you're going to get professional grade tools for super affordable startup level costs from day one. They've got customizable donation forms that you can plug right into your website that are going to form the foundation of your strong fundraising strategy. But Click and Pledge also has a number of other tools included in their flat monthly costs that you can use as your nonprofit is growing, such as in-person and peer-to-peer fundraising features, video fundraising with embedded donation links right in the videos. They've got text to give tools, donor management tools, Salesforce, and other integrations, all included with no contracts or surprise add-on fees. Now, unlike some platforms that increase your fees as you grow, Click and Pledge pricing is going to stay the same whether you have 10 donors or 10,000 donors. So you can use the QR code and link in the description to check out Click and Pledge, book a demo, talk to the team, and get your first $25 monthly fee waived. When you're clear on the team members that you need, their roles, and what they'll do, it's time to tackle how to actually inspire these people to join your startup team. And here's the best piece of advice I can offer you for that. Don't lead with the what, lead instead with the why. When you're ready to ask someone to join up, don't just say, hey, do you want to be on my board of directors or do you want to join my advisory council? That sounds like a boring administrative chore. Instead, focus on the why of the mission. Paint a picture of the impact you're going to build together and focus that message on the outcome. So you might lead with something like, I'm putting together a team to launch an initiative to help make sure kids won't go hungry in our city anymore. Then make the invitation specific to that person. Maybe that sounds like, I know your background in project management is incredible, and I would love for you to be a part of building this with me. People don't want to join a committee, they want to join a movement. Starting a nonprofit alone takes an incredible amount of courage, but keeping it entirely on your own shoulders is a recipe for failure and burnout. Your job right now is not to do everything. Your job is to build the team that can do everything with you together. Assess your skills, figure out your gaps, and start having conversations focused on impact, not just titles. And remember, if you think my checklist for starting a nonprofit might be helpful to you, comment the word checklist below and I'll send you the link to download it. If you want to go deeper than what I can share here on YouTube, my free weekly newsletter is where I share additional tips and resources that I just can't fit into a video. The link to subscribe to that is also in the description, or you can find it at my website, changemakercafe.com. And if you want to know exactly what skills you should be looking for when you recruit those first 3 board members, watch this video next, where I break down those essential skills every startup board needs. I'm Amber Melanie Smith, and I'll see you in the next one.